A lot of ink has been spilled over this gospel over the centuries. Why does John question Jesus? There's been several suggestions. One is that he realized he wasn't getting out of Herod's dungeon, so he sent his disciples to Jesus to become the disciples of Jesus, which makes sense since John was the forerunner. He wasn't the Messiah. That's probably a good solution. But there's another solution that's been suggested, that John was trying to out Jesus, as we would say today. Because if you remember last week, John was talking about Jesus as this majestic, powerful figure that was coming. And yet Jesus wasn't acting very powerfully. He was being a really nice guy, curing people, blessing babies, doing all these wonderful things. So maybe John was trying to push Jesus into proclaiming himself as the Messiah that so many people were accepting, someone who was going to come with power and out the bad guys and bring in the good guys and make everything just as it should be. But I have another thought. I think John perhaps himself was having doubts about Jesus. Because John's description of Jesus up until now is quite different from the way Jesus was acting and carrying out his ministry among the people. Maybe John needed to develop his own understanding of Jesus as his time went on before his death. But that's the case, of course, with all of us. This business that we're meditating on during Advent and Christmas, this becoming human of God, this God, the Creator becoming part of his own creation, is an ancient history. It's an ongoing event, and we are all involved in it. We are all part of the incarnational work that God is doing in the world, beginning with the coming of Jesus in Bethlehem. God's life in us is developing and growing, as Jesus promised it would. I will send you my Spirit, and he will lead you into all truth, into all life. In other words, we're not there yet. We're gradually being more and more, as the old Eastern theologians would say, divinized, being made like God. It's a gradual process. So we have to open ourselves up to the possibility of development. I'll be very honest, when I was younger, God to me was the guy who you went to get things done. Get me through this examination. Get me my driver's license. Get me a job. Mr. Fix-It in the heavens. I think we probably all went through that at one time. But gradually, our relationship with God develops and changes and grows and deepens over the years, and that's to be expected. So perhaps John is reminding us today not to be satisfied with a static, maybe even legalistic, cold association with God in Christ, but to let that humanity of God take something in our humanity and develop again in our time that wonderful relationship which Jesus had with his Father, to let that happen within our own lives and in our own relationship with God.